At Sunday dinner, my dad said, "You would still be sleeping with cockroaches without us." My sister laughed. I stayed silent. At 7:18 a.m., a truck arrived. I took back the $6,300 couch, the curved TV, and the espresso station, every thank you I ever paid for. Left 4 plastic chairs facing a bare wall. At 9:03, my brother called. "Why did you take everything?" I said, "Seemed fair. They raised me in plastic too." At 6:42 p.m., a box arrived at my doorstep with one thing inside. I knew Sunday dinners were traps disguised as tradition, but I went anyway, out of habit, out of that stupid hope that this time they'd surprise me and act like people who don't use your past against you. The house smelled like reheated garlic knots and air freshener named Tuscan Sunrise, which is code for chemical citrus death. The table was already set. 5-place settings, gold-trimmed menus, yes, menus, and one name card marked, +1, in sans serif. I wasn't a +1. I was -100. My mom saw me first. "Oh, good. You made it," she said without turning from the oven. My sister barely looked up from her phone. My dad? He was already 3 sips into his judgment wine. He waved me to the kitchen counter. Not the table. Not even the couch. Just the cold granite slab by the sink. "Sit there. We're still sorting seats." The table had napkin rings. My chair was next to a trash bin that blinked open automatically. Then it came. Right before the chicken parmesan. Right before I was supposed to smile and pretend I didn't see the seat plan with my name crossed out. Dad raised his glass and said, "You know, you'd still be sleeping with cockroaches in that old place without us." My sister laughed. It was the kind of laugh that starts in the throat but ends in the ego. My mom smiled tightly. No one looked at me. I didn't speak. Silence has a flavor. It's iron and restraint in history. I chewed my dry salad and said nothing. At 7:18 a.m. the next morning, a truck pulled into their driveway. By 7:40, the $6,300 couch was gone. The espresso station I'd installed? Unplugged. The curved OLED I gave them for Christmas? Wrapped and wheeled away. I took back every thank you I ever paid for. By 8:10, all that was left in the living room were 4 mismatched plastic chairs facing a bare wall. A shrine to absence. At 9:03, my brother called me, voice trembling like someone just unplugged his sense of entitlement. "Why did you take everything?" I said, "Seemed fair. They raised me in plastic too." At 6:42 p.m., a box arrived at my apartment. It had no return label. Inside was one item. Just one. Every thank you I paid for was a loan. They just thought it was charity. The box had one thing inside, a silver-framed photo of me. High school graduation. Me, in a crooked gown, between 2 people who once called themselves my parents. There was a sticky note on the glass. "Don't forget who believed in you first." I stared at it for 10 seconds. Then I slid it into the drawer next to expired ketchup packets and a receipt for $1,200, last November's rent for my sister's temporary situation. She said she'd pay me back by spring. Spring came. Then summer. Then she bought a Dyson. The truth is, they've been borrowing me in pieces for years. And I let them. Quietly. Generously. Stupidly. Let's rewind. When I first started making money, real money, the kind that hits your account and makes you sit back for a second, my mom called crying about a pipe burst. "Just for a month," she said. "We'll sort it out." That was $2,000. Sent without question. It became a thing. Every first of the month. Like clockwork. Shared family fund, they called it. A year in, $24,000. Then came my sister's job loss. Well, transition, she said. She wanted time to find herself. Her rent, $1,200. I paid it for 7 months. That's $8,400. She found herself, all right. In Italy. I paid for my brother's tuition deposit. $6,042. He sent me a thank you emoji. The thumbs up one. Not even a sentence. Their car broke down. I gave them mine. A Civic from 2012. The air conditioning only worked if you whispered to it. But it was still alive and barely kicking. They said, "We're so lucky to have you." They said, "This won't be forever." They said, "You're different. You're strong." Strong meant you can afford to bleed a little longer. I didn't count the money. At least not out loud. But I remembered the tone every time they said, "Help," like it was a handshake instead of a handout. They never said thank you. Not in full sentences. My mom once joked, "Well, you don't have kids or a mortgage. What else are you going to do with all that money?" Like my stability was their default inheritance. Like my bank account had an open-door policy with a welcome mat that said, "Make yourself at home, just don't ask where the key is." And I played along. For years. I paid. I smiled. I kept the peace. I bought birthday gifts so good they cried and called it love. I flew home for Christmas with gifts, while my brother gave a six-pack and a shrug. I covered vet bills for a dog I hadn't seen in person in 3 years. I sent $700 once for groceries and saw my sister post a selfie with the caption, "Brunch with the babes." They never said it out loud, but I could hear it anyway. You owe us. Because I was the one who got out. I moved to the city, got the job, worked the hours, paid my way. No kids, no divorce, no addiction, just spreadsheets, almond milk, and guilt. And they turned my success into their safety net. If I hesitated, they'd guilt me. If I questioned them, I was selfish. If I said no, I was ungrateful. My dad once said during an argument, "We gave you everything. The least you could do is return the favor." I asked him what everything meant. He said, "A roof, food, support." I said, "You mean parenthood?" He didn't answer. Just turned up the TV. Every thank you I ever paid for was a loan. They just thought it was charity. But here's the real reason I took it all back. The couch, the espresso machine, the TV, the gifts they thought had no strings. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't even anger. It was clarity. They needed to see it, really see it, stripped bare. What the house looked like without me. What comfort looked like when it wasn't subsidized by silence. I left 4 plastic chairs facing a blank wall because that's what they gave me, a place to sit and watch while they took everything. They built their lives on the illusion of generosity, mine. I needed them to know that it wasn't magic, that every upgrade came from somewhere, that every espresso shot they slurped came from a wallet they mistook for unconditional love. I didn't want them to grovel. I wanted them to wake up. Next, the betrayal, deeper than silence, more expensive than forgiveness. They thought I wouldn't notice. They were right until I did. It started with a vacation photo, posted on Facebook at 2:13 p.m., 5 days after that dinner. My mom, in a cable knit sweater, holding a mug of something steamy. Caption: "Nothing like family time in the mountains." The mountains looked suspiciously Swiss. The mug had the logo of a ski resort I once Googled but never went to because I couldn't afford it. I zoomed in. My dad was wearing that stupid red parka I bought him last winter. My sister had a new camera dangling from her neck. My brother was in the background, waving a ski pass like a trophy. They looked content, rich adjacent. I opened my banking app, not because I was paranoid, because I was done being naive. And there it was, $8,743.91 charged to my emergency-only family travel card. Zurich flights, hotel in Interlaken, ski rentals, something called a Sky Fondue experience, which, I now know, is a $320 scam where you eat melted cheese on a gondola. It wasn't a family vacation. It was a heist. Starring me, the financial mule. The worst part? They planned it. While I was sitting next to a trash can at dinner, they were packing designer snow boots. They didn't invite me. They didn't even mention it. And if that wasn't enough, there was a second photo. My brother's girlfriend on a ski lift, tagging the location. Just us. No drama this time. No drama. Because drama was me. I checked the date. 4 days ago. The same day my dad asked if I could keep the family credit open, just in case. They were already in Switzerland. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I took screenshots. Receipts. Passport numbers from the travel wallet they used. My account, my storage, my identity. They forged my approval. And then the real kicker. A text from my brother, meant for someone else. He's too naive to check. LOL. I stared at it for a full minute. Then I typed back. He just did. That was the moment it shifted. That was the switch flip. I spent the next 2 hours on the phone, reversing charges, freezing bookings, canceling reservations, flagging every transaction as fraud, because it was. By morning, their ski passes were void. Hotel rooms locked. The fondue gondola? Canceled mid-lift. And the best part? I set fraud alerts to email every one of them. They woke up to alarms, not mountain ones. Financial ones. At 6:03 a.m., my phone exploded. I didn't answer. Not the first 3 calls from mom. Not the 5 from my brother. Not the private number that was definitely Steve or Donna trying to smooth it over. At 7:41 a.m., I answered. My dad. Voice tight. "Son, We need $4,200 to fly back to San Francisco. Can you help us? Just for now, I said. No. Silence. You can't be serious. Hope you enjoy the rest of your trip. You'll have a lot to explain when you get back. Then I hung up and smiled. They landed Thursday morning. Early. No need to track flights. Mrs. Langley across the street texted me at 6:12 a.m. They're back. Suitcases look trashed. Your dad's limping. Perfect. I showed up at 6:41. Parked across the street like a repo agent with a grudge. Donna was yelling into her phone. Steve looked like he'd slept on the floor of an airport bathroom. My brother James was dragging a suitcase with a broken wheel while his girlfriend filmed a TikTok about surviving betrayal. My parents stood by the door. Not guilty, just inconvenienced. I didn't greet them. I didn't ask how the trip was. I walked right up, looked my dad in the eye, and said, "You owe me $4,100. Non-refundable charges. You've got 72 hours. He blinked. My mom blinked harder. We didn't steal, she said. You used my identity, I replied. That's not just rude. That's illegal. James stepped forward. Classic move. Smooth the scene. Play the rational sibling. You're blowing this way out of proportion. I turned. You excluded me, lied to me, used my card, thought I'd never notice, and then posted it all with a hashtag. He actually rolled his eyes. It was meant to be fun. You're just bitter. No, I said. I'm accurate. I pulled out my phone. A folder labeled Family Fraud, Evidence, Screenshots, Passports, Hotel Confirmations, Donna's name on a rental car, Steve listed as emergency contact on the fondue lift waiver. 3 days, I said again. Then I go to the police. My mom opened her mouth. I closed the conversation with a look. By sunset, the money arrived. No subject line, just numbers. Probably wired from Uncle Mark, the family's unofficial fixer. They thought it was over. It wasn't. Because 2 days later, my student loan servicer called. Hi, Mr. Palmer. We're calling to confirm your financial guarantor role for James Palmer's tuition account. My soul left my body. I never agreed to that. We have your signed form on file. She emailed it to me. There it was. My name, my address, my forged signature, a checkbox beside. Assumes responsibility in case of non-payment. They didn't just steal a vacation. They stole my future. I reported it immediately. Sent ID proof, signature comparisons, screenshots. The woman on the line said it would be investigated, but until then, I was liable. James had forged me into $6,000 of debt. He didn't call, didn't apologize. Instead, he posted. Sometimes people turn their back when you need them most. Guess they were never real family. I laughed, audibly, alone. Then I filed an identity theft report, called my lawyer, froze my credit. But that wasn't the end. That was the start. Because when I checked the shared folder on my cloud, the one where I used to store receipts, tax forms, utility scans, I saw edits. Names changed. Emails added. Access granted to my dad. My mom, my brother. They'd been planning this for months. Layer by layer. Lie by lie. Using my name as leverage. My silence as endorsement. My bank account as a family subsidy. They thought I'd stay quiet. They thought I'd keep the peace. What they didn't expect was a reckoning. They thought I'd gone quiet. They thought silence meant surrender. 3 days after the ski fraud meltdown and the forged tuition papers, I sent a message to the family group chat. Sunday, 2 p.m. My place. All of you. No emojis. No explanation. Just the address and the time. They arrived like people walking into a courtroom they didn't know they were guilty in. Overdressed. Overprepared. Underaware. My sister wore a dress that looked like stolen Pinterest. My mom clutched a lemon tart like it was a peace offering. My dad had sunglasses on. Indoors, a classic move when shame is louder than eyes can admit. They thought I was calling a truce. They thought I'd finally come around. What they got was a picnic table on my back porch for office chairs and a stack of folders labeled with their names. No tablecloth. No food. Just raw sunlight and colder facts. Each chair had a sign taped to the back. No more excuses. Here's what you can actually afford. You're not broke. You're comfortable in chaos. These are your options now. My mom tried to smile. My sister laughed nervously. My dad, he said nothing, but I saw his jaw clench when he spotted his name on the folder. I sat down. They didn't. So I started. These are job options. I called in favors. I wrote resumes. I even paid a guy on Fiverr to make your LinkedIn sound like you've done things. James scoffed. You think this is funny? No, I said. I think it's overdue. Then I read them the list. Mom, admin role at a senior center, full-time, benefits, no drama. Dad, inventory assistant at a hardware depot, 8 to 4, weekends off. Sister, front desk at a local vet clinic, small team, hourly pay, resume builder. Brother, construction site logistics, hard work, but honest pay and fast turnover. My mom blinked like I'd spoken in binary. But I used to be a teacher. You used to say I was family. Things change. My dad's voice came low and tight. Is this how you treat your parents now? No, I said. This is how I treat adults who commit credit fraud, fake my signature, and leave me out of weddings they funded with my money. Then I handed out the final sheet in each folder. A full ledger. Every dollar I'd spent on them. $6,300, couch. $2,400, espresso station. $8,743.91, Switzerland. $8,400, rent for sister. $6,042, tuition for James. $3,600, car insurance and loan vehicle. $7,500, wedding check, rescinded. Total, $42,985.91. At the bottom of the page, this was generosity. You turned it into expectation. Now it's over. My sister muttered. You've always been dramatic. I nodded. You've always been entitled. No one touched the lemon tart. Then I slid across the final envelope. Inside, copies of the fraud reports. One for each of them. Unfiled. For now. Here's what happens next, I said. You can accept the help I just offered. Or you can explain yourselves to a very patient officer named Lenny who already has the case draft. My dad stood up. He looked at the folder, then at me. You think this makes you powerful? No, I said. I think it finally makes me free. I walked back into the house, left the door open, let them feel the wind of a world that no longer revolved around my wallet. They didn't leave right away. They sat there, stunned, like people who'd just been evicted from a house they never paid rent for. Then my brother, James, broke the silence. He stood up, fists clenched, folder still unopened. You think this fixes anything? He said. You think humiliating us makes you right? I stared at him. No, being right makes me right. He looked like he wanted to flip the table. I kind of wanted him to. My dad stepped in, voice low, dangerous. We're your family. I nodded. Exactly. And that used to mean something. Then came the line, the one they must have rehearsed in the car. My mom said it. Soft, as if the words were dipped in sugar before being served. Let's just start fresh. Clean slate. No past, no blame. I laughed. I laughed like someone just handed me a fortune cookie that said, denial runs in our family. A clean slate. I repeated. After you burned the whiteboard? They didn't know what to say. So I said it for them. You want forgiveness without accountability. You want access without responsibility. You want me to pretend nothing happened so you can go back to the good old days, when my wallet fed your fantasy. I leaned forward. Calm. Controlled. Surgical. You used me. Lied to me. Stole from me. Excluded me. And now you want to skip the consequences because I'm the mature one. They shrank in their seats. I'm done paying the fee for your emotional comfort. Then I pulled out the final play. I placed a binder on the table. Labeled. In case you want to know what adulting looks like. Inside. Budget templates. Employment guides. Financial literacy booklets. A list of free therapy centers. And a cover page that read, No, I won't be there to explain this. My sister started crying. Quietly. The kind of cry that wasn't for remorse, but for exposure. My dad stared at the yard like it might give him an escape tunnel. My mom looked at me like I'd just died and resurrected as someone she didn't raise. And that was the moment I realized they finally saw it. I had changed. They'd been counting on the old version of me, the one who flinched at guilt, folded under pleas, who paid because silence felt safer than conflict. That version was gone. Now they were sitting across from the man they raised, but never thought they'd answer to. Here's the offer, I said. You take the job listings. You start fixing what you broke. Or you keep pretending and watch what happens when I finally stop pretending with you. No one moved. So I stood. And as I walked away, I said, You wanted a fresh start? Here's rock bottom. Now climb. I didn't close the door behind me. I let it stay open. Let them decide if they still knew how to walk through one without stepping on someone else's back. Silence. That was the first thing I bought for myself. Not a gadget. Not another invoice marked family emergency. Just silence, rich, complete, unbothered. 47 days. Not a second more, not one less. I counted. They probably did too. 47 days since the intervention that was. Since I pulled the plastic chairs out into the sun and watched them sit on discomfort for the first time. Since I watched their privilege fold in real time like a badly made lawn chair. On day 3, my sister broke first. I applied, she texted. No job title. No gratitude. Just 2 words tossed like a lifeline she expected me to catch. I didn't. On day 5, Dad sent a PDF titled, "Let's Rebuild What We Broke." I opened it. 5 pages of vague metaphors, misquoted scripture, and a photo of a dove holding an olive branch. I forwarded it to trash faster than I used to wire rent. On day 7, Mom left a voicemail that cracked halfway through. "We miss you. Your chair's still here. The house is too quiet without your coffee machine." Funny how they always measured my presence by the things I brought, not the space I held. By day 10, the silence shifted. They weren't sure if I was punishing them or replacing them. I wasn't doing either. I was healing. And healing sounds like nothing. On day 13, I passed their house on purpose. The garden looked overgrown. My dad's prized lemon tree was leaning, unpruned. The porch light was flickering like a bad metaphor. I didn't slow down. I didn't knock. Let them feel what absence really looks like. Day 18, James called. I answered. His voice was tired, humbled in a way only labor can shape. I've been working construction, paying the loan. Not fast, but it's moving. I said nothing. Let the sound of my breathing say more than words. He didn't ask for forgiveness. Good. That's not what I was selling. He added. You were always the one building while we just lived in it. Click. I ended the call. Because some truths don't need applause. Just space. Day 22, Mom sent a photo of a recipe card. My handwriting. From when I was 12. Dad's birthday cake. Don't burn it this time. She captioned it. We kept the old box. Just never looked inside. I didn't reply. But I felt something shift. Regret is heavy when it arrives late. Day 25, Facebook. No family photos. Just a quote my mom posted. Sometimes the one who walks away isn't the villain. They're just done sweeping the mess. Small progress. Not admission, but the beginning of one. Day 28, I changed my number. Day 31, I used the spare key. Walked in. No knocking. The espresso station? Replaced by a kettle and a chipped mug. The TV? Smaller. Probably donated. The couch? Gone. In its place, 2 folding chairs facing a wall where my TV used to hang. They finally looked as stripped down as I always felt. No one was home. Good. I left an envelope on the counter. No name. Just read. Inside. An itemized bill, again. Not for money, for time, patience, silence, therapy, and a postscript. What I gave was love. What you took was advantage. Don't confuse the two again. Day 36, I got a call from a new number. My dad. Voice steadier than expected. Your mom's got 2 interviews. James paid another $600. I work nights now. The depot's boring, but it's honest. Then, a pause. We're not asking to come back. Just wanted to tell you, we finally stepped up. Without you. Good. That was the point. Day 40, email from my sister. Subject, car update. She bought a used Honda. This one's fully mine. I named it Closure. Cute. Cringy. But for once, it didn't come with a Venmo request. Day 44, I wrote my letter. You said life was better without me. Prove it. You said you didn't need me. Prove it. You said I overreacted. Keep saying it to yourselves. Do not call. Do not text. You do not owe me. But I no longer owe you. You mistook my love for a subscription. You treated my generosity like a free trial with auto-renew. You thought I was a wallet with emotions. Now you only have emotions. Spend them wisely. No name. No signature. Just an envelope dropped in their box at 2:03 p.m. on day 47. Didn't wait. Didn't knock. Didn't look back. And on the back, written in thick, black marker. This was never about money. This was about memory. And now I'm free.